All right, well, I trust you did well on your quiz. We went over it in here, and for the most part, seems like we did fairly well. Some things here and there to glean from. If you're watching on YouTube, please don't take the test until I've gotten back with you regarding your quiz results. Want to make sure anything that I see on there that needs some help, I've addressed before you go trying to take the test. So make sure you hear back from me before you take that test. Let's go and turn your books to page 38, and we're going to run through some review very quickly here. Page 38. And number 1 and number 2, just quick review with order of operations. Take just a moment to work those two problems. Page 38, the bottom of the page, I want you to do numbers 1 and 2, quickly using order of operations. Take care of grouping symbols, remember, then exponents, then multiplication, division. And don't do any addition or subtraction until the very end, unless it's within a grouping symbol. 1 and 2, at your seats. When you finish, check your answers against the board. YouTube viewers, you have the opportunity to pause the video here, but those in the class have to put the pencils down, take a look at these, see how you did on the one or ones you finished, and if you didn't finish that second one, check to see if you were on the right track. Square the one to get 1, subtract to get 1, do a division, basically reduce to get a half, multiply to get negative 23, keep your plus 11. I added the two positives to get 11 and a half. Change this to negative 22 and 2 halves for sake of the subtraction of unlike signs to get 11 and a half, and then keep the negative. How many had? Negative 11 and a half, or negative 11.5, or negative 23 halves. Questions? Looking at the next one, I started by squaring the 3 to get 9, subtracting to get 5, so that my numerator is now 2 times 5, which became 10. Here I multiplied to get a negative 6, and then 4 plus negative 6 gave negative 2. Ends up dividing to get a negative 5. Here you have to cube before you multiply. Unfortunately, that gives you a 1/125th. Times 25, or 25 over 1. You can cancel the 25 out to get a 1 and 5, so it becomes a fifth. Negative 5 plus a fifth is negative 4 4/5, or negative 4.8, or negative 24/5. How many got that on the second one? How many didn't finish the second one, but you were on the right track? Questions on either of these? Questions on order of operations? All right, I want you to do numbers 3 through 6 now. Simplifying those exponents, 3 through 6. Make sure your answers do not have negative exponents in them. So you'll have to deal with some negative exponents, but remove them through the process. For the sake of time, pencils down. Number 3, when you add the exponents, because you're multiplying like basis, you get q to the 10th. When you add the exponents, you get r to the 8th. When you add the exponents, you get z to the -1. But it said no negative exponents, so move the z down, and then it becomes z to the first, or just z. On number 4, you're raising powers to power, multiply those exponents to get k to the 20th, m to the 28th, and initially n to the -12th. But again, no negative exponents, move that n to the 12th down to get this answer. For number 5, we're dividing, so 5 divided by 10, can't really do that, but I can get a 1/2. X squared and x to the 4th leaves me 2 x's in the bottom. I've got a y to the 4th and a y in the bottom, gives me a y cubed in the top as I subtract those exponents. I've got 2 more z's in the bottom than I do in the top. I'm going to leave my z squared just like this. And then on number 6, anything to the 0 power class equals 1. How many got all the ones you did correct? Any questions on any of these? Any questions? All right, look across the page. At the top of the page, numbers 7 and 8. Here, no denominators. You either have to divide it or move it up. Divide it or move it up on 7 and 8. Once again, pencils down. I know I'm not giving you a lot of time, but we've got a lot to cover. YouTube is blessed. They can pause me. Number 7, you divide to get 4. Divide to get a g in the bottom, but move that up to get g to the first, or g to the -1st in the top. Here, if I move the k to the -8th up, it becomes k to the 8th. And when I add 8 and -4, it gives me a k to the 4th in the top. Well, I would divide, get m to the 11th in the bottom, move that up to as m to the -11th. So my answer, 4, g to the -1st, k to the 4th, m to the -11th. On number 8, I divide to get 5. I move my 30f's up as -30. There's already -32f's up there. That's -62 as my exponent for f. H, just subtract the exponents, get h to the 13th. N, I would be left with 4 n's in the bottom. Move them up, n to the -4th. So my answer, 5, f to the -62nd, h to the 13th, n to the -4th. Did anyone get both correct? Wow. How many got at least one of them right? You got one of them right. Questions on either of those? That F was a doozy, wasn't it? Number 9. Let's do this together. The product of x and y squared less 21. How would I write that? Audrey?
xy squared minus 21.
Good. xy squared minus 21. And it's not xy quantity squared, just xy squared minus 21. And then it says, so if x is -3 and y is -2, what's the value? At your seats, think that through. If x is -3 and y is -2, then what's the value of that expression? And Michael.
-33.
Great job, -33. When you square this -2, you're going to get a +4. That gets multiplied by a -3, which is -12. Bring down your -21, you do get -33. Number 10, 53, decreased by the square of x. Pretty straightforward. Brandon, how would we write that?
53 minus x squared.
Good, 53 minus x squared. And if x is 9, find the value of that expression. Call it when you've got it. -28. Keep the sign of the greater. Good. 53 minus 81, or -81, -28. Number 11, the quotient of x minus 1 and x plus 3 increased by x. How would I write that, Genesis?
X minus 1 divided by x plus 3 plus x.
How would I show the division? Good. So we could say x minus 1 over x plus 3, and then you said plus x?
Yes.
And it says if x is 5, find the value. Call it when you've got it.
5.5.
That was quick. 5.5. We get 4/8, which is a half, plus 5 is 5.5. Good. Number 12. Abby, the product of r plus 12 and q minus 9 decreased by 11.
I can't speak right now. R plus 12 in parentheses, and another parentheses, q minus 9, minus 11.
Good. And it says if r is negative 7 and q is 7, find the value of the expression.
Negative 21.
Negative 21. We get a positive 5 here, a negative 2 here, which is negative 10. Negative 11 gives negative 21. Number 13. We're just adding, right? Adding like terms together. We can do this together. Class, g squared and 4g squared?
5g squared.
5g squared. 32g and negative 23g?
9g.
9g. And negative 4 and 11?
7.
7. So 5g squared plus 9g plus 7. Now on number 14, in your book, lightly change that to adding the inverse because we can't really subtract. So when we do, it's a 15k squared and a positive 3k squared class. 18k squared. It's a negative 51k and a negative 23k.
74.
Negative 74k. It's a negative 34 and a positive 16.
Negative 18.
Negative 18. So 18k squared, negative 74k, negative 18. Notice the parentheses are not up against each other. We are not triple distributing. Aren't you thankful? Speaking of distributing, look at number 15. All we have to do is distribute. You can do this in your head, Kendall.
6x cubed minus 15x squared positive 63.
3 times 3 is?
9.
So 93.
93.
X. All right, there we go. 6x cubed, negative 15x squared, positive 93x. Number 17, class, what would we have to do? FOIL, specifically. We would multiply, but how? By FOIL, right? First, outer, inner, last. Your first gives you? 3m squared, outer. 8m, inner. Negative 36m. Negative 36, positive 8? Negative 36, positive 8. Negative 28m, and then the last. Multiply to give us? Negative 96. Look at number 21. What's that thing?
Conjugates.
Conjugate sum and difference. We're going to multiply to get a difference of squares. 3 things we need to do, class. Square the first, square the last. Put a minus sign between them. And what would we get, Maddie? Well, square the 3 as well, though. 9w squared. Negative 25 would be correct. What would we have to do on number 23, class? Double distribute, technically, right? Distribute the 2x all the way through, then distribute the 1 all the way through, then combine like terms. Number 25, we're squaring a binomial. What do we need to do? 3 things. And when we square the first, class? 4x squared. Don't forget to square the number. When we square the last at the end, we get 9. And when we multiply and double, we get 12x. So 4x squared plus 12x plus 9 would be our answer on that one. Look at number 29. How do we divide by a monomial? 3 steps. Sign, number, letter. And what do you get when you divide the c cubed d cubed? Try to do the whole thing in our head. Audrey.
12c to the 5th d squared positive 6c squared minus 1.
Great job. 12c to the 5th d squared, positive 6c squared, negative 1. Number 30. Do this one in your head if you would. Michael.
6g to the 7th k to the 4 minus 4g to the 5th k squared minus 2.
Correct. G6, g to the 7th, k to the 4th. But I like how he's just on a roll. Sign, number, letter, sign, number, letter, sign, number. They cancel. All right, good, and that's perfect. That's exactly how I want it done. 6, again, 6g to the 7th, k to the 4th, negative 4, g to the 5th, k squared, negative 2. Play that back at 1.5 speed, and you should be, or 3/4 speed, and you should be good. Number 31, we're dividing by a variable plus or minus a number. How could we divide number 31, class?
Synthetic.
Synthetic division. What would go in the half box?
-4.
A -4. And next to the half box, what would we write?
1 plus 1
And we bring down the 1, we would multiply to get.
-4.
We would add to get.
-3.
We would
multiply
to get. We would to get. We multiply to get.
40.
Positive 40. Careful, negative times negative positive, which conveniently gives us no remainder. What do I put right here?
X squared.
X squared, then X, then gone. But can we do that on 32?
No.
No, because it's not a variable plus or minus a number, so I have to do X squared, and then there's a gap. How should I fill in the gap between the X squared and the plus 1?
Zero.
Maybe a 0x would be advisable. And do I have descending order? Yeah, I do. So there's no gaps to fill in, and we'd have to go follow through with long division. Unfortunately, we don't have time to finish that problem out. That's pretty much what to expect between that and the handout that I gave you, or again, YouTube students, the thing that is in the description of the part 1 on the video, because I'm too lazy to put it on both part 1 and part 2. All right? Do well tomorrow. Get some rest tonight. No written homework, but study as needed. Go back, look through your notes as needed. I think your notes would be more beneficial than your textbook, frankly. But look through either of those and be ready for that test. And test will be tomorrow.